Well, hello again and welcome back to St James's Park. Yeah, the last time we were here, I just realised, was after Newcastle clinched Champions League football with that victory over Leicester City. Now, I was going to say they've picked up where they left off, but they haven't. That was better than they finished last season. That final half hour here against Aston Villa was a different level again. It suggests to me Newcastle have come back even fitter, stronger and more ruthless than they did finish the last campaign, and that took them into the Champions League. So who knows where this season is going to take them. What a way to start with a 5-1 win over Aston Villa. And I'm glad Eddie Howe picked his team and not mine. I didn't have Sandro Tonali in it, did I? I've made much of that over the past couple of weeks, and Eddie put him in the team. Now, he did just admit to us downstairs there in the press conference it was a big call. He said almost it was a toss-up between Tonali and Sean Longstaff in the end, but Tonali won it on fitness, and I'm guessing Eddie and all you guys are glad that he did. He was quite simply sensational, and Eddie's words about him there, he's just said to us, I fell in love watching Sandro Tonali play for AC Milan last year during all those scouting reports that he was sent. And he said, they paid a big fee for him, but you say it's a big fee. If you're going to beat FFP, unearthing players like Sandro Tonali for £52 million, probably could look modest on reflection if what we've seen there today does become the norm over the course of the season. Now, it is only one game, of course it is, and we'll get on to his performance in just a moment, because there is so much to unpack from that and the game in general. But yeah, come the end, that final half hour, what I do want to say though is that for an hour I honestly thought it was a fairly tight contest, and before Alexander Isak scores Newcastle's third, I thought every result was in play. Now, Newcastle, both teams started well. I've put my mail on Sunday Match Report. They played each other in America last month. They came back here, and Julie had a game of basketball. The first 20-25 minutes was just wonderful entertainment. In the final shot count in the end, I think this is quite telling. It was 17-15 in Newcastle's favour. So, Villa had chances of their own. Moussa Diaby, we've got to come on to him as well. I thought he was brilliant. He was a threat. Newcastle struggled with him. But yeah, after Tyrone Mings' injury on 25 minutes, and until, like I say, that moment of Isak's goal on the hour, I thought, if anything, Villa were the better team. Newcastle didn't really have control, but what they showed during the final half hour was strength. And strength and depth by the manner in which Barnes and Wilson come off the bench to help blow Villa away in the manner they did, and it was just a brilliant performance. And we go back to the start of the game. It's probably the easiest way for me to try and unpick it. And after 6 minutes, Sandro Tonali puts Newcastle in front, and what might be lost in some of this, and I hope it isn't, but it's Tonali's aggression, Tonali's anticipation in the middle of the park that wins the ball and sets up the passage of play which leads to his goal. It runs to Bruno, there's a shot which is saved, Anthony Gordon gets the ball from Joe Linton, puts it in, and Tonali just times his run to absolute perfection in the volley. 6 minutes into your home debut with a picture book flying volley like that, it can't get any better. But it did. He actually, that final half hour, I thought he was a candidate to come off, but he was just tremendous again. And what did he show? Well, he showed the point I made, what we saw up at Rangers, what he can bring. It's almost as if he's got that pass in his head 2 or 3 seconds ahead of everyone else. But then what he did show today is what he didn't in America, especially against Villa out in Philadelphia. He showed aggression. He was able to run. He ran hard as well, and he's just got so much style about him, and a swagger as well. And we know, Bruno's been the prince and the darling around here for a while. Well, you might just have a little bit of competition now in Sandro Tonali, and there was one pass just down here in the second half. He did it in the friendly last week against Fiorentina, where it comes to him and you can see what he's going to do, but executing it is a different thing. He just switches play to Harvey Barnes again, and it's just like, wow, you really are, for one of the, he was a peacock there in that second half. It was just a real strutting performance, and you can see why Eddie saw that much in him and was convinced that he was the man he wanted to bring in this summer. But from there, like I said, Villa were good. I thought Villa were good in America, but good isn't good enough ultimately against Newcastle at times, and they got the equaliser through Moussa Diaby. About 11 minutes in or something, was it? And again, now Eddie was never sold on Diaby. I think he thought that there was better out there. For whatever reason, it was more the scouts, my information, that were pushing him. Now he's gone to Villa. And there, I thought he was very good. He was their key threat. Newcastle didn't know how to pick him up in the first half hour. He was popping up in all manner of pockets. He was dragging Newcastle's defenders around, and yeah, he got a goal. But then Newcastle go up the other end, and again it's Tonali's ball in behind from the free kick that was ruled on by Kieran Trippier. Sven Botman slides, pulls it back, and Alexander Isak, finishes. And we've got to talk about Isak a little bit more later on as well. So that's 2-1. Then Mings gets an awful injury, and from that point onwards, I honestly thought Villa were the better team closing the first half. Diaby goes through on goal again, who was picking him up, and he puts it in the side net, and that could have been 2-2. Then here we go. This is as breathless as the game, isn't it? Then in first half injury time, got to talk about this one. Martinez comes racing out of his goal, far touchline there in front of the East stand, and takes out Miguel Almiron. Now, the referee Andy Madley gave Martinez a yellow card during the press room at half time. We're talking about it, and everyone's saying, well, no, the rules state, there was a covering defender and he was out wide. But okay, but for me, the covering defender, there was only one covering defender and there was no goalkeeper, and that covering defender can't use his hands. Now, if it's rule reversal and the defender does that to Almiron and he's only got the goalkeeper to beat, is it not then classed as a last man? It almost seemed to muddy the waters and caused confusion, really, the fact that there was this covering defender there. Added to that as well, there was no genuine attempt to play the ball. It was a foul. In this case, the law is an ass, because what Martinez did, it's clever on reflection, and if you're a goalkeeper and you're stranded out of your goal by the touchline and a forward nips by you, well, the precedent has been set. Take him out at an expense of a yellow. On reflection, Martinez did the right thing for his team. I thought it should have been a red, and I'll be interested to see the feedback and the fallout from that. Ultimately, it didn't matter. Now we go into the second half, and again Villa looked good. I think they had a chance to equalise from a corner with Douglas Luiz, I think it was. Could have been 2-2, and as I said before, every result was still in play. But then for 3-1, it's Isak's, that intensity, that running, and Konza wasn't it, who was dallying on the ball there in the box, so he's got that aggression, that intensity, that intent to press him and to rob him. But then it's not an easy finish. The Martinez is bearing down on your World Cup winning goalkeeper, and it was just wonderful, that the sublime nature just to dink it over and into the Gallagher end net there. And that really probably, it doesn't put the game beyond doubt. As I said, Villa's a good side, but nonetheless it gives Newcastle that 2-goal cushion. Now on Isak, 12 months ago he arrived for £63 million I touched on this at the start, didn't I? £63 million. Wow, he is a £100 million striker. If you've got Højlund, who scored 20 career goals, going to Man United for 80, some of the other deals we've seen this summer, Newcastle have already potentially just about doubled their money on what you would get for Alexander Isak in an open market right now. The guy's just tremendous. He's world class. He's a Champions League footballer. So that's 3-1. Then Isak and Anthony Gordon go off. I haven't even mentioned Anthony Gordon. Right, we've got to talk about Anthony Gordon. I said, didn't I? Out in Atlanta, and if you're at the True Faith event the other night, he is my pick for the guy who will emerge as the unsung hero. And I thought he was tremendous there. He lays on the opening goal for Tonali. There was a moment before that, inside about 30 seconds, and I noted it on my laptop, where he gets the ball and he showed exactly what I thought he's shown all summer: fitness, spring, intention. He got away from his man just down there in front of the dugouts, and I thought, you're at it here. You're going to show what we've seen since the start of pre-season and in the Euros out in Georgia. So I thought Gordon was brilliant, and what exemplified it more than anything else was it 1-0. Moussa Diaby goes clear. Gallagher end. Gordon charges 60 yards, and while he doesn't make a contact on the ball, him haring down on Diaby, and to show the pace to catch up with Moussa Diaby, by the way, and he did enough to distract him, and he won a cheer almost as loud as that which had greeted Tonali's goal a few moments earlier. So I thought Gordon was brilliant, ran himself on the ground, Isak too, and then who comes on? Well, this is what I talk about, the strength and depth. Harvey Barnes and Callum Wilson, and straight away they combined for the fourth goal it was. But the fourth goal, it's a Barnes assist into Wilson, clips up top corner. It owed more for me to Tonali's pass. I really want to see it back on Match of the Day later. It is just so cute. I think it was first time. I've only seen it once live. It was around the corner. I've got my head down typing by this stage on deadline. It's around the corner and free Barnes, and I just thought, wow, that is just a real touch of class from Tonali. Then where do we go from there? Yeah, we go to 5-1. Yeah, is that right? Yeah, 5-1, and it's another substitute, Jacob Murphy, who comes on, holds the ball just on halfway, threads Barnes clear. He takes his time and he slots it under Martinez, like I said, who by now is probably wishing he's been sent off after all on the stroke of half time. And Barnes was brilliant. He's just walked out there with his girlfriend just next to me. You know, I said, do you enjoy that? And it was just his face and the face of his partner, they just lit up. You know, they were stood there just talking about how wonderful that day had been. It was a nice moment. Sandro Tonali also walked out in front of me. I spoke to him in Italian very briefly. Not entirely sure he understand me. He replied in English, which isn't always a good sign for us wannabe linguists, is it? But yeah, he smiled as well. He looked incredibly happy, and so he might be. Now, I've spoken for long enough now. Where does that leave Newcastle? It leaves them top, of course, doesn't it? And while the league table might not matter to some, it does set down a mark, and it just shows that they have returned. And I said this, didn't I? If you're going to back any team to benefit from exposure to one manager over the course of a summer, that manager is going to be Eddie Howe, and he's got these guys coming back here today against a very good team, fitter and stronger than them in the point they told them. During the early weeks of the season, you know, games will often be won and lost during that final half hour. That is when the extra work you've done during the summer will tell. In Newcastle are a different level to Villa there. A brilliant win, a brilliant day for you guys from Newcastle perspective. Really enjoyed covering on it. I'll put the links to my mail on Sunday Match Report below. Please hit like, please hit subscribe. I hope the sound's been okay for you on this one. I did wait until the lawnmowers were finished there out on the pitch. I won't see you at Man City next weekend. Gonna have a little break with my kids for a week or so. Yeah, thanks again for watching, guys. Brilliant start of the season. Take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.